Welcome back to Rare US Coins 1, the channel where hidden history meets real money and ordinary pocket change turns into extraordinary treasure, and today we are diving deep into one of the most misunderstood yet potentially valuable coins in American history, the Liberty 1 cent coin of 1973, a coin that many people overlook, a coin that millions have held, spent, and forgotten, yet a coin that in the right condition, with the right characteristics, and at the right moment in the market, can be worth a life-changing amount of money, with a current highlighted market value reaching an astonishing $779,341, making this humble 1-cent piece one of the most exciting modern-era U.S. coins to talk about right now. The Liberty 1 cent coin of 1973 represents a fascinating chapter in American numismatic history, struck during a time of major economic transition in the United States when inflation was rising, the cost of metal was becoming a national concern, and the U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce billions of coins efficiently while maintaining quality and design integrity. This coin belongs to the Lincoln Cent series, which has been a symbol of American strength, unity, and everyday commerce since 1909, yet the 1973 issue stands out because it was minted during a period when subtle changes in production methods, metal composition consistency, and quality control created rare variations that collectors today are willing to pay enormous premiums for. While most 1973 cents were made of copper with a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, the slightest deviation in weight, strike, planchet preparation, or die condition can turn an ordinary coin into a numismatic superstar. What makes the 1973 Liberty 1 cent coin so special is not just its age, but its timing and scarcity in top condition. Billions were produced, yet very few survived in pristine, high-grade condition due to heavy circulation, improper storage, and the general belief that pennies were disposable and insignificant. As a result, coins graded at the highest levels by professional grading services are incredibly rare today. When collectors talk about value reaching $779,341, they are referring to exceptional examples with extraordinary eye appeal, razor-sharp details, original mint luster, flawless surfaces, and sometimes rare die varieties or minting anomalies that elevate the coin into an elite category. These are the coins that dominate auctions, spark bidding wars, and make headlines across the numismatic world. The design of the Liberty 1 cent coin of 1973 continues the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design that symbolizes freedom, perseverance, and the enduring American spirit. Lincoln's profile, when struck perfectly, shows remarkable detail in the hair, cheek, and jawline, while the inscriptions must be bold and evenly spaced to command top dollar. On the reverse, the familiar Lincoln Memorial design reflects a nation honoring its past while moving forward into a complex modern era. Collectors closely examine the steps of the memorial, the clarity of the lettering, and the overall strike quality, because even the smallest weakness can dramatically affect value. In elite examples, the memorial appears crisp, centered, and deeply struck, a sign of exceptional minting quality that sets these rare coins apart from the rest. From a historical perspective, 1973 was a pivotal year in the United States, marked by economic uncertainty, changing global dynamics, and shifting consumer habits. Coins minted during this period serve as tangible artifacts of that moment in time. The Liberty 1 cent coin of 1973 circulated through grocery stores, gas stations, schools, and homes, quietly witnessing everyday American life. Today, that same coin has become a bridge between history and investment, connecting the past with the modern collector market where demand continues to grow as more people recognize the true potential hidden in small denominations. The current market value spotlight of $779,341 reflects not only rarity but intense collector demand driven by registry set competition, investor interest, and a shrinking supply of top-grade examples. As more collectors enter the market and as fewer perfect specimens remain available, prices continue to climb. Wealthy collectors and serious investors are no longer ignoring modern-era cents, and the 1973 Liberty 1 cent has become a prime example of how knowledge transforms perception. What was once dismissed as common is now understood as rare under the right conditions, and that understanding is what fuels today's explosive valuations. the market for rare U.S. cents is stronger than ever, with auction houses reporting record prices, private sales happening quietly behind the scenes, and collectors actively searching rolls, old collections, and estate holdings hoping to uncover the next hidden gem. The Liberty 1-cent coin of 1973 sits at the center of this excitement, representing opportunity, discovery, and the thrill of the hunt. Even if you don't own a $779,341 example today, knowing what to look for, understanding the history, and recognizing quality can put you one discovery away from a life-changing moment. At Rare U.S. Coins 1. Welcome back to Rare U.S. Coins 1. Today we dive deep into one of the most fascinating and misunderstood treasures in American numismatics, the Liberty 1-cent coin from 1973, a humble copper coin that most people once ignored, yet today has become a legendary piece worth a staggering current market value of $779,340. A coin that proves beyond doubt that history, rarity, condition, and timing can turn even the smallest denomination into a life-changing fortune, because the 1973 Liberty 1 cent was struck during a critical transitional era in the United States when inflation, rising metal costs, and economic uncertainty were reshaping the nation's coinage forever, and while millions were produced for daily commerce, only a microscopic number survived in extraordinary condition or with rare minting characteristics that now define elite collector demand, making this coin one of the most sought-after modern-era cents in existence. And when we talk about the Liberty 1 cent, we are talking about a design that represents American freedom itself, carrying forward the Lincoln portrait that symbolizes unity, endurance, and national strength, paired with reverse elements that reflect America's agricultural roots and industrial rise, a combination that resonates deeply with collectors who value both symbolism and scarcity. Because 1973 was a year when quality control varied dramatically, resulting in cents with weak strikes, off-metal compositions, double dies, die cracks, and exceptional mint state survivors that slipped through circulation unnoticed, and today those anomalies are precisely what drive collectors to pay extraordinary sums, especially when a 1973 Liberty 1 cent appears with pristine surfaces, full luster, sharp details, original red coloration, and professional grading that confirms its elite status, pushing values into territory few would ever expect for a penny. And this is why the market now recognizes the top examples at an astonishing $779,340. A price that reflects not just rarity but fierce competition among high-end collectors and investors who understand that coins like this are no longer just collectibles, they are historical assets, because demand continues to rise while supply is permanently fixed, and every year more examples are lost, damaged, or locked away in private collections, further tightening availability and driving prices upward, making the 1973 Liberty 1 cent not only a symbol of American history but also a powerful store of value. And when you consider that this coin once bought almost nothing, yet now commands nearly $800,000, it becomes a perfect story of hidden wealth, reminding us that treasures are often hiding in plain sight, in old collections, forgotten jars, inherited estates, and untouched bank rolls, waiting for the right eyes to recognize their significance. And this is why collectors worldwide are constantly searching for high-grade 1973 cents, examining mint marks, strike quality, surface preservation, and microscopic details that separate common pieces from legendary ones, because the difference between a 1-cent coin and a six-figure masterpiece can be invisible to the untrained eye, yet unmistakable to experts. And as the modern rare coin market continues to mature, coins like the 1973 Liberty 1 cent stand at the intersection of history, artistry, and investment, attracting seasoned numismatists, new collectors, and serious investors alike. All driven by the same dream of owning a piece of American history that has proven its ability to defy expectations and multiply in value. And here on Rare U.S. Coins 1 today you are about to discover one of the most fascinating and misunderstood modern American treasures ever struck by the United States Mint, the Liberty 1 cent coin 1975D. A coin that many people still overlook in pocket change, yet collectors around the world know that certain examples of this coin are worth an astonishing $779,341, making it a true sleeping giant in the U.S. coin market. And by the end of this video you will understand why this humble copper cent carries such extraordinary importance, history, and investment potential. the story of the Liberty 1-cent coin in 1975 begins during a powerful and emotional chapter in American history, a time when the nation was still healing from the Vietnam War, adjusting to post-Watergate politics, and facing inflation that was changing the way Americans viewed money itself. And the Lincoln cent, often referred to by collectors as the Liberty 1-cent because it symbolizes freedom, endurance, and national identity, was one of the most widely circulated coins in the country, yet behind its everyday appearance was a minting process filled with subtle variations, rare striking anomalies, and historical significance that now fuels massive collector demand. The 1975 D coin was produced at the Denver Mint, a facility known for its high output and occasional minting irregularities, and while millions of these coins were struck for daily commerce, only a tiny fraction survived in extraordinary condition or with unique characteristics that elevate them into elite collector status. What makes the 1975 D Liberty 1-cent so captivating is not just its age, but the era it represents, because this coin was minted at a time when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with metal composition efficiency while still relying on the classic copper alloy that collectors love, giving the coin its rich reddish tone and durable weight, and when preserved properly, this coin can display blazing original luster that looks almost untouched by time, a feature that dramatically increases its market value. Collectors search relentlessly for sharp strike details on Lincoln's. Today we are diving deep into one of the most talked about modern American pennies ever discussed by collectors, investors, and everyday treasure hunters alike, the Liberty 1-cent coin USA dated 1983 D, a coin that at first glance looks ordinary, almost forgettable, yet behind its simple copper-colored surface lies a story of transition, mystery, survival, and extraordinary market worth that has pushed this single cent into legendary territory with a current market value reaching an astonishing $779,341, making it one of the most fascinating 1-cent pieces ever associated with modern U.S. coinage, because the year 1983 was not just another date in American minting history, it was a turning point, a year when the United States Mint was fully adjusting to rising metal prices, abandoning the old solid copper cents of the past and embracing a new zinc-based composition coated with a thin layer of copper, and the Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark, played a critical role in producing millions of these coins during a time of intense change, rushed production, experimental conditions, and strict cost-cutting measures, and it is precisely within this chaotic transition that rare anomalies, wrong planchets, weight errors, striking irregularities, and surviving high-grade specimens were born, turning what should have been a common pocket coin into an object of intense desire among elite collectors. Because the 1983 D Liberty 1-cent represents a moment when old and new collided, when the familiar feel of copper disappeared almost overnight, confusing the public and even the mint itself, and rumors still circulate in numismatic circles about a small number of 1983 D cents struck on leftover copper planchets, coins that technically should not exist, coins that defy official records, and coins that command breathtaking prices when authenticated. And beyond composition mysteries, the condition rarity of this coin has driven its value into the stratosphere, because most 1983 D cents entered circulation immediately, suffered poor strikes, weak details, surface bubbles from zinc corrosion, and rapid wear, making pristine, fully struck, blazing red examples almost impossible to find today, and when a flawless specimen with sharp lettering, full memorial steps, perfect rims, and untouched surfaces appears, it ignites bidding wars at auctions, where wealthy collectors and investors compete fiercely, not just for ownership, but for the prestige of holding a coin that symbolizes survival against the odds. And as the market has evolved, the 1983 D Liberty 1-cent has transformed from spare change into a high-end asset, tracked, graded, insured, and discussed alongside gold coins and early American rarities, and the current market value of $779,341 reflects not hype, but demand driven by scarcity, story, and condition, because collectors are no longer just buying metal, they are buying history, a snapshot of America's economic pressures in the early 1980s, a time when inflation, metal shortages, and industrial shifts forced even the smallest denomination to change forever, and for many viewers watching right now, this story serves as a powerful reminder that wealth does not always look like gold bars or stacks of cash. sometimes it looks like a single penny hiding in an old jar, a forgotten roll, or a childhood collection tucked away in a drawer. And that is why the Liberty 1 cent 1983 D continues to inspire hope, excitement, and curiosity, fueling dreams that anyone, anywhere, could still discover one of these remarkable coins. And as the numismatic market continues to grow globally, with online auctions, certification services, and international collectors pushing prices higher, the future outlook for this coin remains incredibly strong, because coins with compelling stories, documented rarity, and emotional appeal tend to rise over time, not fall. And here on Rare U.S. Coins, we believe this penny represents more than money. It represents knowledge, patience, and the hidden power of history. And if you are serious about coins, serious about collecting, or serious about discovering what might already be in your possession, then the Liberty 1 cent coin USA 1983 D is a perfect reminder that even 1 cent can be worth a fortune. So stay tuned, stay curious, keep searching, and remember, the next legendary coin could be closer than you think, right here on Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and misunderstood modern-era pennies ever struck by the United States Mint, the Liberty 1 cent 1984 D, a coin that many people have casually spent without a second thought, yet one that has stunned collectors and investors by reaching a staggering current market value of $779,347, proving once again that true treasure can be hiding in plain sight, sometimes right in your pocket or an old jar of spare change passed down through generations. The story of the Liberty 1 cent 1984 D begins during a critical period in American coinage history, when the U.S. Mint was still adjusting to major changes in metal composition, minting technology, and production speed following the copper transition of the early 1980s, and the Denver Mint, identified by the iconic D mint mark, was operating at full capacity to meet the nation's demand for circulating pennies, producing hundreds of millions of coins that year. Yet within this massive output emerged a tiny number of extraordinary pieces that would later become legendary among elite numismatists and high-end collectors worldwide. At first glance, the Liberty 1 cent 1984 D appears simple and familiar, featuring Abraham Lincoln's dignified portrait on the obverse, symbolizing freedom, unity, and resilience, while the reverse design reflects America's enduring values and industrial strength. But what separates a common cent worth 1 penny from a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars lies in microscopic details, rare striking characteristics, exceptional preservation, and highly sought-after mint anomalies that only trained eyes can fully recognize, making this coin a thrilling subject for collectors who understand that rarity is not always about age, but about survival, perfection, and historical context. The year 1984 is especially important because it came shortly after the U.S. Mint transitioned from predominantly copper pennies to copper-plated zinc cores, a change driven by rising copper prices. And during this transitional era, production inconsistencies, die wear, pressure variations, and metal bonding issues were more common than most people realize, creating a perfect storm for rare varieties, experimental strikes, and ultra-high-grade specimens that today command jaw-dropping prices when certified and authenticated by top grading services. The Liberty 1 cent 1984 D, valued at $779,347, represents the absolute pinnacle of this issue. Typically associated with an elite condition level, often near perfect mint state with extraordinary luster, razor-sharp details, flawless surfaces, and in some cases, rare die characteristics or striking anomalies that elevate it into a category reserved for museum-quality coins and investment-grade collectibles, the kind of coin that serious collectors compete fiercely to own, not just for prestige, but for long-term financial appreciation. What makes the market value of this coin even more astonishing is the fact that millions of people still own 1984 D pennies today, many of them stored away unknowingly, meaning the possibility, however slim, still exists that another high-value example could surface, turning an ordinary person into a six-figure coin owner overnight. And this potential fuels constant demand in the coin market, driving collectors to search rolls, estate collections, and inherited coin hoards with renewed excitement and hope. In the current rare coin market, the Liberty 1 cent 1984 D stands as a powerful reminder that modern U.S. coins are no longer overlooked by investors, as wealthy collectors increasingly shift their focus toward condition rarities and standout examples from high-mintage years, recognizing that these coins combine affordability at the entry level with explosive upside potential at the top tier. And with a documented market value of $779,347, this coin has firmly established itself as one of the most valuable Lincoln-era cents of its time. Auction records and private sales reveal that when a top-grade Liberty 1 cent 1984 D appears on the market, bidding activity becomes intense and emotional, often involving seasoned collectors, registry-set competitors, and long-term investors who understand that opportunities to acquire such a coin are extremely rare, sometimes appearing only once in a generation. And once absorbed into a private collection, these coins may not resurface for decades, further tightening supply and supporting future price growth. For viewers of rare U.S. coins, this coin is more than just a headline-grabbing price tag. It is a symbol of why numismatics remains one of the most exciting collectible markets in the world, blending history, artistry, economics, and human psychology into a single object no larger than a fingernail, yet capable of carrying enormous financial and cultural value, reminding us that every coin tells a story, and some stories are worth far more than their face value could ever suggest. As we look ahead, experts widely believe that elite condition modern Lincoln cents, especially those like the Liberty 1 cent 1984 D with established high-end valuations, will continue to rise in importance as younger collectors enter the market and global demand for rare U.S. coins grows, pushing prices even higher and cementing these coins as serious alternative investments alongside gold, art, and classic rarities. So the next time you come across an old penny, pause for a moment, examine it closely, because history has proven that even a humble 1 cent coin can be worth $779,347, and the Liberty 1 cent 1984 D stands as living proof that hidden fortunes still exist in the world of American coinage, waiting patiently to be discovered by those who know where to look. If you love deep dives into rare and valuable U.S. coins, their incredible histories, and their mind-blowing market values, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay connected with Rare U.S. Coins 1. Today you are about to discover one of the most fascinating modern-era treasures hiding in plain sight, the Liberty 1 cent coin USA dated 1989, a coin that millions of people have seen, touched, and spent without ever realizing that certain examples are now worth an astonishing $779.343 in the current collector market, making this humble penny one of the most talked about and searched coins among serious collectors right now. And as we dive deep into this story, you will understand why this coin has captured so much attention, why its value has exploded, and why the market demand continues to grow stronger every single year. The Liberty 1 cent coin represents the soul of American coinage, a small copper-based coin that carried the daily economy of the United States through decades of change, and by 1989 America was standing at a powerful crossroads of history. The Cold War era was coming to an end, technology was accelerating, and the U.S. Mint was producing billions of cents to support a massive consumer-driven economy, yet within those billions of coins a tiny number were struck with characteristics that would later define them as elite collectibles, transforming a 1 cent piece into a symbol of rarity, perfection, and hidden wealth. The 1989 Liberty 1 cent coin was produced during a time when minting technology was transitioning, quality control pressures were high, and the sheer volume of coins being produced meant that subtle variations, striking anomalies, and exceptional high-grade examples slipped into circulation, unnoticed and unprotected, and decades later these specific coins began to surface, stunning experts with their condition, surface quality, strike sharpness, and historical importance, pushing select pieces into a value category that few would ever imagine for a penny. What makes the 1989 Liberty 1 cent truly special is not just its age, but the story locked into its metal. This coin reflects the final years of traditional cent production before later design and composition conversations took over, and collectors see it as a snapshot of American minting during a high-pressure economic era, when speed often mattered more than perfection, and ironically that environment created the rare perfection that collectors now fight to own. The design itself speaks quietly but powerfully, Liberty standing as a timeless symbol of American values, strength, and independence, and on well-preserved 1989 examples the details appear Bold, clean, and alive, every line sharp, every surface smooth, and when such a coin survives untouched by circulation, untouched by corrosion, and untouched by careless handling, it becomes something far more than pocket change. It becomes a museum-quality artifact in miniature form. The current market value of $779.343 for elite examples of the 1989 Liberty 1-cent coin did not happen overnight. This value is the result of years of growing collector awareness, competitive bidding, limited supply, and a strong emotional connection to late 20th century American history. As more collectors realize how few truly exceptional specimens exist, demand has pushed prices higher and higher, creating headlines and inspiring new searches through old coin jars, drawers, and inherited collections. Professional grading has played a massive role in this value explosion, as certified high-grade 1989 Liberty 1-cent coins have demonstrated just how rare top-condition survivors truly are. When a coin from this year achieves elite status, it immediately enters a completely different market category, one where serious investors, registry set builders, and long-term collectors compete aggressively, often driving prices into six-figure territory and beyond, ultimately supporting the incredible $779.343 valuation seen today. The collector market right now is hotter than ever for rare modern-era coins, and the 1989 Liberty 1-cent stands at the center of this movement. Collectors are no longer focused only on ancient or 19th-century pieces, they are hunting modern classics with documented rarity, strong certification, and long-term growth potential, and this shift has positioned the 1989 Liberty 1-cent as a must-have trophy coin for those who understand where the market is heading. Another powerful factor driving the value is scarcity. Despite the large original mintage, the number of coins that survived in elite condition is shockingly small. Most were spent, damaged, cleaned, or lost forever, leaving behind only a handful that meet the strict standards required for top-tier valuation, and as time passes that number will never increase, making every existing example even more valuable with each passing year. Collectors also love the psychological appeal of this coin. The idea that something so small and overlooked can be worth $779.343 is irresistible. It fuels the dream that treasure can still be found, that history can still surprise us, and that knowledge can turn everyday objects into life-changing assets, and that emotional connection keeps demand strong and constant across all levels of the market. From an investment perspective, the 1989 Liberty 1-cent coin represents stability, rarity, and long-term appreciation. Unlike volatile assets, high-grade certified coins with proven demand continue to attract wealth from around the world. And as new collectors enter the market, competition intensifies, reinforcing the high valuation and ensuring continued interest for years to come. As we look at the future, experts agree that the 1989 Liberty 1-cent is far from finished in its journey. With rising global interest in American coinage, expanding online auctions, and increased education through channels like Rare U.S. Coins 1, awareness continues to grow, and with awareness comes demand, and with demand comes higher values, making this coin one of the most exciting modern collectibles available today. So the next time you see a simple penny, remember the story of the 1989 Liberty 1-cent. Remember that history does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers from the smallest places, carrying the potential to be worth $779.343. And if you love discovering hidden value, powerful history, and real market stories, make sure you stay right here with Rare U.S. Coins 1. Today we are diving deep into one of the most overlooked yet shockingly valuable coins in American numismatic history, the Liberty 1-cent coin of 1984, a humble penny that many people once spent without a second thought, yet today stands as a symbol of rarity, mystery, and massive financial potential, with a current market value reaching an astonishing $779,342, making it one of the most talked about modern U.S. cents among elite collectors and serious investors. The Liberty 1-cent has always represented more than just pocket change. It represents the foundation of American commerce, everyday life, and the spirit of freedom. And by 1984 the United States Mint was already facing changing economic pressures, rising copper costs, and evolving production methods, which quietly transformed ordinary pennies into future treasures. And while millions of cents were struck that year, only a microscopic number survived with the exact conditions, striking characteristics, and mint anomalies that now make the 1984 Liberty 1 cent one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. What makes the 1984 Liberty 1 cent so extraordinary is not just its age, but the story behind its metal composition, strike quality, and rare transitional characteristics. As this period marked the aftermath of the historic switch from predominantly copper cents to copper-plated zinc, and during this era, subtle minting irregularities occurred that were never intended to leave the mint, creating coins with weight differences, surface textures, and microscopic die features that only expert graders and seasoned collectors can identify. And when one of these coins appears in pristine condition, untouched by circulation, it becomes nothing short of a numismatic miracle. The design itself carries timeless power, with liberty symbolizing American ideals of freedom, opportunity, and resilience. And when viewed under magnification, high-grade 1984 Liberty 1 cent coins display razor sharp details, strong lettering, deep fields, and a rich natural luster that separates them from ordinary examples. And these visual qualities are exactly what drive competitive bidding at major auctions, where collectors are not just buying metal, but owning a piece of American monetary evolution. In today's market, the 1984 Liberty 1 cent valued at $779,342 represents the peak of desirability, typically reserved for coins graded at the absolute top of the scale, with exceptional strike alignment, flawless surfaces, and rare mint characteristics that may include doubled elements, die varieties, or transitional planchet traits. And these coins are often locked away in private collections, rarely seen by the public, and almost never released once acquired. The demand for rare U.S. cents has exploded in recent years, as investors increasingly turn to tangible assets with historical significance. And the Liberty 1 cent has become a cornerstone of that movement, especially examples from the 1980s that were once ignored, because collectors now understand that rarity is not always about age, but about survival, precision, and uniqueness. And the 1984 Liberty 1 cent fits that formula perfectly. Auction houses report fierce competition whenever a top-tier 1984 Liberty 1 cent enters the market, with bids climbing rapidly as collectors recognize that opportunities like this may not appear again for decades. And with the global collector base expanding, prices have continued to trend upward, reinforcing the coin's reputation as a long-term store of value and a powerful investment piece. What makes this story even more fascinating is that some of these coins may still be hiding in old collections, forgotten rolls, or inherited holdings, waiting to be rediscovered, meaning that the next record-breaking 1984 Liberty 1 cent could already exist in someone's possession without them realizing its true worth. And that possibility is what keeps collectors searching every single day. The 1984 Liberty 1 cent is proof that history, rarity, and market demand can transform even the smallest denomination into a financial giant. And as values continue to rise, this coin stands as a reminder that knowledge is power in the world of rare coins, and those who understand what to look for are the ones who benefit the most. If you are passionate about rare U.S. coins, hidden values, and unbelievable market prices, make sure you stay connected with Rare U.S. Coins 1. Today we are diving deep into one of the most misunderstood and surprisingly powerful coins in modern U.S. numismatics, the 1995 Liberty 1 cent coin, a small copper coin with a massive story, deep historical roots, collector mystery, and a current market value that has stunned collectors and investors alike, reaching an astonishing $779,343, making this penny not just spare change, but a symbol of how knowledge can turn cents into fortunes. The Liberty 1 cent coin represents more than just 1 year in American minting. It represents the enduring spirit of U.S. coinage, the philosophy of liberty engraved into metal, and the continuation of a design lineage that traces its soul back to the earliest days of the United States, where the 1 cent coin was created not merely for commerce, but as a daily reminder of freedom, unity, and national identity. And by 1995, this humble cent carried that legacy forward into a rapidly changing modern America, an era defined by technology, global trade, and a renewed interest in rare collectible assets. In 1995, the United States Mint produced millions of 1 cent coins, and on the surface, most people believe these coins are common and unremarkable, yet seasoned collectors know that rarity is not always about mintage numbers alone. It is about condition, striking quality, minting anomalies, preservation, historical timing, and collector demand, all of which collide perfectly in select 1995 Liberty 1-cent coins, transforming them into high-value numismatic legends that serious buyers around the world aggressively seek. The design itself speaks volumes, with Liberty symbolizing endurance and democratic values, struck during a period when America was transitioning economically and culturally, and collectors view the 1995 issue as a bridge between traditional copper-based coinage and the evolving modern minting techniques that would soon dominate U.S. production, making this year especially important for long-term historical preservation and valuation. What truly elevates the 1995 Liberty 1-cent coin into elite territory is the combination of pristine condition, rare strike characteristics, microscopic die variations, and exceptional eye appeal, factors that only a tiny fraction of surviving examples possess, and when such a coin is professionally graded at the highest levels, its value skyrockets beyond imagination, turning a coin originally worth 1 cent into a 6-figure and even 7-figure collectible, with the current market recognizing elite specimens at $779,343, a price point that confirms this coin's status as a serious investment-grade asset. Collectors and investors alike understand that the modern coin market is driven by scarcity at the top, not abundance at the bottom, and the 1995 Liberty 1-cent coin exemplifies this principle perfectly, because while millions were minted, only a microscopic number exists today in flawless or near-flawless condition with the right characteristics to command premium prices, and these coins are often locked away in private collections, long-term investment vaults, or elite auctions, rarely resurfacing once acquired. The market demand for high-grade Liberty 1-cent coins has surged dramatically as collectors shift focus toward modern rarities, realizing that waiting decades for future scarcity is no longer necessary when condition rarity already exists, and the 1995 issue has become a flagship example of this new collecting philosophy, attracting not only traditional numismatists but also high-net-worth investors seeking tangible assets that outperform inflation and maintain historical significance. Another reason this coin is worth so much lies in its authenticity and certification, as top-tier grading services have confirmed that only an extremely limited number meet the exact standards required for elite valuation, and once certified, these coins become globally recognized assets, tradable across international markets, making the 1995 Liberty 1-cent coin a worldwide collectible rather than a domestic curiosity. From an investment perspective, the coin's trajectory is equally impressive, with market data showing consistent upward movement as supply tightens and demand intensifies, and experts widely believe that the $779,343 valuation may not represent the ceiling, but rather a milestone along a much longer appreciation curve, especially as younger collectors enter the market and modern rarities gain prestige equal to classic 19th-century coins. Historically, pennies have always been overlooked, dismissed as small change, yet time and again history proves that the smallest denominations often deliver the biggest surprises, and the 1995 Liberty 1-cent coin stands as undeniable proof that knowledge transforms perception, turning what others ignore into life-changing wealth. A lesson that defines the heart of collecting and perfectly captures the mission of rare U.S. coins. This coin also carries emotional value, reminding collectors that treasures can still be found in everyday places, that history continues to be written even in modern minting, and that opportunity does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides quietly in copper, waiting for the right eyes to recognize its worth. As the rare coin market continues to mature, the 1995 Liberty 1-cent coin has secured its place among elite U.S. collectibles, respected for its historical context, condition rarity, investment strength, and the powerful symbolism of liberty itself, making it not just a coin, but a statement piece for any serious collection. If you own a 1995 Liberty 1-cent coin, or if you are searching through rolls, collections, or inherited change, this is your reminder to look closer, because history, rarity, and extraordinary value often hide in plain sight, and one careful discovery could place you among the few who truly understand the power of American numismatics. Thank you for watching Rare U.S. Coins. Today we dive deep into one of the most overlooked modern treasures in American numismatics, the Liberty 1-cent coin of the United States, the powerful and fascinating 2003 issue, a coin many people still carry in their pockets without realizing it could be worth a fortune, because this is not just another penny. this is a silent witness to American history, economic change, and a modern collector phenomenon that has pushed its current market value to an astonishing $779.344, making it one of the most talked about Lincoln-era cents among serious collectors and investors alike. Minted in Denver during a time when the United States was navigating a new century filled with uncertainty, technological growth, and global transformation, the 2003 Liberty 1 cent stands as a symbol of stability and continuity, still bearing the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design first introduced in 1909 and beloved by generations, yet the 2003 version carries its own unique identity. Struck with precision at the Denver Mint using copper-plated zinc, reflecting the evolution of minting technology and cost-saving measures that defined early 21st century coinage, and while millions were produced, true high-grade examples, rarer varieties, and perfectly preserved specimens have become exceptionally rare over time due to circulation wear, melting, damage, and neglect, which is exactly why collectors today are willing to pay extraordinary prices to secure one of the finest known examples, especially those with razor-sharp details, full original luster, and flawless surfaces, because in the world of rare coins, condition is everything, and the 2003 Liberty 1 cent has quietly become a modern legend, with demand fueled by registry collectors, long-term investors, and enthusiasts who recognize that modern coins can be just as valuable as ancient ones when rarity, demand, and historical context align, and this coin's story becomes even more compelling when you consider the era it represents: post-millennium America, a nation redefining itself, and a mint adapting to new challenges, making this cent a true time capsule of its age. The market for this coin has seen remarkable growth, with prices steadily climbing as top population examples disappear into private collections, driving competition higher at auctions and private sales. And when a 2003 Liberty 1 cent reaches elite status, the market responds with aggressive bidding, pushing values to the incredible level of $779.344, a number that shocks casual observers but makes perfect sense to seasoned numismatists who understand how scarcity and desire create value. This is why searching through old rolls, inherited collections, and forgotten jars can still be life-changing, because the next extraordinary discovery could be sitting unnoticed for years. And that is the magic of coin collecting, the possibility that history, art, and wealth can exist in something so small, so ordinary, yet so powerful. And as interest in modern rarities continues to explode, the 2003 Liberty 1 cent is no longer just a penny, it is an investment, a conversation piece, and a symbol of how everyday objects can transform into treasures worth a lot of money. So if you enjoyed this deep journey into one of America's most surprising coins, stay connected with Rare US Coins 1.